Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick confirmation if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? You can all use the questions tab to give me a quick confirmation, guys, if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well. Hear me, Jaideep, Priya, Rohit, Tamil Seven, webinar registrants. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, guys. Ravi, Praveen, Harish, Ram, Shantanu. All right, so now for those who have joined for the first time, guys, let me start by introducing myself. So my name is Neeraj Keria, and I've been working extensively in this IT industry for almost 10 years. 10 years now, where I've worked in different industry verticals in insurance, banking, retail, pharmaceutical, aviation, location-based services across markets of India, US, Canada, Singapore, Australia, and other Southeast Asian markets so far. And in the trading front, I have been helping multiple corporates all around the globe in making sure that they all are updated in the current trends and technologies, and making sure that they are delivering a more optimal solution to the clientele and staying a step ahead to the competition, right? And this is the 7th session that as a part of our 10-session journey on DevOps, right? And for those who have joined for the first time, guys, let me start by giving you a quick intro about our Meetup program. So we have an entire program by the name of Meetup. So we have the entire program by the name of Meetup here. So Meetup is basically our community where we conduct more than 150 plus webinars on every month, right? So in every month, we conduct 150 webinars ranging on topics of cloud computing, so now we conduct multiple webinars on different topics, including cloud computing on AWS, Azure, on multiple development technologies, including DevOps, Agile, Scrum. So we have multiple topics that we cover on a monthly basis, right? So every month we conduct 150 plus webinars, and the best part of these webinars are they're completely free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for joining these webinars, right? And we just have to be a part of this community, and we can be well notified on the topics that we conduct the webinars on, right? And this will be a good method in staying updated on what is happening in these technologies, what our company is looking for, and this will be a good way to start our careers, to start our learning path in these different modules, right? Where each and every modules are also accompanied with a small hands-on. So we focus on a single topic on each and every of these webinars, and then we also accompany that with small hands-on so that we can have a complete clarity of what the topic is and how to actually implement that in real world scenario. All right, so let me share this link with everyone, especially for those who have joined via YouTube. Perfect. So now let's get started. Now let's assume on our DevOps part that we have been covering so far. Now today, as a part of our focus module, today we'll be focusing on what exactly Ansible is, right? So today our main motive of this entire session would be would be having a good understanding, of what is Ansible and what are the changes, what was the situation had been before and after configuration management, what exactly is Ansible, what are the features of Ansible. We'll be focusing on the case studies for Ansible, focusing on NASA, what their problem was and how that problem was solved using Ansible, right? And then we'll see how we can use Ansible for orchestration, how we can use Ansible for provisioning, for configuration management, for application deployment, and security, right? So like earlier, we had seen the usage of Puppet as well. Earlier, we had seen the usage of Kubernetes as a part of orchestration tool as well, right? And here we'll be focusing on how we can use Ansible for orchestration, provisioning, configuration management, application deployment, security, and different scenarios, right? And at that here, we'll be focusing on how to write Ansible playbooks to install the LAMP stack and host a website. That will be that will be part of a small hands-on that we'll be focusing on towards the end of the session here, right? And last couple of minutes, we'll be focusing on the discussion on a full-fledged training module that we cover as a part of entire DevOps certification training and how we can get started on top of it. All right. So now let's get started on our discussion on the topic of Ansible. All right. So we had discussed the concept of configuration management. Configuration management basically establishes and maintains consistency of product performance by simply making sure that all the physical attributes of its requirements are already met, and that to centralize and that to automate it through our entire system, right? So we had seen the concept of configuration management in our earlier sessions. And for those who have joined for the first time, let us have a quick recap of what exactly is a configuration management system out there so that we can all be on the same page, right? So let's do that. Now, configuration management, for doing that, let's go to our Picasso mode here. All right, so now to have a quick recap of what exactly we mean by configuration management. For example, traditionally, if we want to deploy, suppose a single person wants to deploy a single server here, right? Suppose when we need to deploy one server where we need to have, suppose, say, one version of PHP installed, right? And we need to have one version of MySQL to be installed and configured there, right? Suppose if we have a different version of PHP and MySQL to be installed and set up, suppose say here we are focusing on PHP 5.7, and again here we have suppose in MySQL again we are focusing on 5.0 as a part of the version that we need to configure on this server, right? Now, if we want to do this configuration here manually, we can do that. That wouldn't be any problem. It wouldn't be any challenge. And we can do the same thing for 2 servers, 3 servers, 10 servers. We can do that. That is quite manageable, right? But if we have hundreds of these servers, suppose if we have hundreds of these servers that we need to configure the same configuration, right? Then obviously we don't do that manually, right? So and for that purpose, we can use a simple configuration management tool where we can define one particular template. Now, just like we have a template here, so here we can define one template which will have the configuration for each and every system or each and every configuration that we need to perform or that we need on these servers here, right? So that when we are actually implementing this, the same configuration can be fetched from the file. So whatever has been mentioned here, the configuration for the same servers can be done in that manner, right? For example, suppose here we define PHP should be for this version, MySQL should be for this version, then the same thing will be used in order to configure those hundreds or those thousand servers, right? So again, and that too, instead of doing this manually, suppose let's say once it is done with configuring first server, then only moves to second, once it's done with second, then only moves to third, and so on. So instead of doing this in one by one, right? Instead of doing this one by one, what we can do is this can take care of the configuration parallelly, right? So that different servers here can be configured parallelly without waiting for the first service to be completed, right? And that's why if manually we require, let's suppose 10 days, 15 days in order to configure 1,000 servers, then using this configuration management tool, we can achieve that within an hour itself, right? That's how efficient and that's how quick it is, especially when we have a big scale requirement. All right. So is this part clear for everyone? Please give me a quick confirmation, guys. Are we all clear on the concept of configuration management? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. Perfect. Thank you for confirming, Imran. Shai. And there's a simple single rule that we have to follow for this entire session here, guys. In case you have any questions coming up, please feel free to drop in questions directly in the questions tab so that once I've seen those questions, I can make sure to answer them one by one. All right. All right. So now let's assume. Perfect. Thank you for confirming. Ajin, Ajay, Najeen, Dakshay, Veer, Ravi, Abhijit, Yadhar. Perfect. So now let's assume. Let's erase this up. All right. And that's why we have seen the usage of configuration management here. So configuration management is basically used for making sure that the entire configuration is done exactly as per the requirements, right? So suppose if we have multiple applications or multiple configurations that needs to be replicated on each and every server, then we can use the configuration management to save us a good amount of time and our resources, right? Now, why exactly we need configuration management? Because before configuration management, there was problem in managing multiple servers together, right? And especially when they have different configurations. And they have different configurations. They again, and they were spatially huge, like we can say big in number. Suppose let's say we want to deploy 50 servers, 500 servers, 1,000 servers. Again, then that configuring each and every server was again not feasible by any manual methods, right? And that's why here we have application. That's why after the introduction of configuration management, then we can simply make sure that the entire application is deployed. And in servers, we can maintain multiple applications one by one. So one can be here focused only on web servers, one can be focused on database servers, one can be focused on application servers, right? So for each and every component of the entire application, be it the servers, be it the web server, be it the database servers, and be the application server, these all can be resumed and these all can be solved easily by the concept of configuration management systems out here. And then it also helps us in scaling up and scaling down our resources exactly as per our requirements. So suppose if we want to add more number of servers and that too with the same configuration. For example, we had discussed the concept of scaling, right? We have horizontal scaling and then we had discussed we have vertical scaling, right? Suppose in horizontal scaling, again, we want to add more number of servers. So currently we have 2 servers already been deployed here. And then we had seen the concept of vertical scale of horizontal scaling. Suppose now we want to add more number of servers, then obviously here we have to, again, here we can use the configuration management so that the same configuration servers, obviously we don't want a misconfigured server here. We want the configuration, if we are scaling horizontally, we want the same number of servers being deployed here, right? Same number and same type. And that can be and that again, this entire problem was also solved using the concept of configuration management. That means we can deploy, here we can scale up and scale down the resources exactly to what has been already deployed, right? So there's no mismatch and there's no basically mismatch between the configurations, right? That's the main advantage of using configuration management tool. All right, so now let's erase this up. And before the actual introduction to configuration management systems out here, before we had the requirement of coding and deployment at the same time, right? And now here we have the requirement and then deployment could have been done on the testing and production environments, right? Because again, let's say if we are working on any operations team, let's say here we are working on any operations team here. Now, since we require a time, so suppose if we want to deploy this on testing server and we also want to deploy this on production server, right? Now, since there is no automation tool here, so obviously we will require time in order to set up the testing and in order to set up the production server, right? Suppose now the coders, they have shared the code to the shared the code to the repository here, and now using the CI server, that is Jenkins, we have now integrated now that has been integrated, right? But now suppose, let's say, because of the manual setup of the test server, suppose this is taking 15 minutes to be configured, and while this is taking suppose it says 8 minutes to be configured here, right? So obviously they are taking time. And suppose if we combine this 15 plus 8, that is 23 minutes, right? And suppose if we combine this 23 into, suppose if we are running 100 servers out here, then that means all right, 2,300 minutes we are wasting. We are wasting on the entire setup here, right? So obviously here we can now, and again, so that means if we have to now suppose a developer wants to know the feedback of its code here, right? And then the developer needs to wait at least for 15 to 16 hours, right? So that then only it can start, then only it can start getting the feedback from the real-time implementation. And as we know, in DevOps, we have to be fast, we have to be quick, because again, if we are slow in our pace of implementing products, obviously we'll be having a trouble in wasting a lot of time. We'll be having trouble in saving time, right? So obviously we will be wasting a lot of time in these case scenarios. Right? Whereas in configuration management, now each and every server can be configured in few minutes. Earlier it would have taken hours, but here it can be done in few minutes to few seconds, right? That's how fast the entire system has become, and that's why if we have a fast system, obviously we are meant to get more number of active users as compared to other platforms. And that's exactly what we use configuration management system for. All right, so now let's erase this up. And the main challenge faced earlier was also to roll back to any of the previous state, or we can say to roll back to any of the previous state here. Now, when we say roll back, we simply mean, for example, again, we have to understand this in simple terms. Suppose again, there's the same scenario. Suppose now we want to upgrade. Now, suppose here we have two services up and running for this configuration. Suppose here we have PHP version 5.7 up and running. And same way, we also have the server for, like for example, let's say MySQL, right? And now suppose, let's say if we wish to attach this, if we want to change the configuration here, right? Suppose for some reason, suppose for MySQL again, we want suppose something as suppose version 5.0 as a demo, right? And now suppose we want to update the current version of PHP here. Again, we may have to go back to the container, or we guess this is simply that a small code that will be reflected into the entire actual implementation here, right? So here, suppose if we want to configure this, if you want to update any of the services, for example, using configuration management, what we did, we simply updated these two. Suppose PHP now has been updated to PHP 7 here, right? Now, because of this update that was pushed to this particular instance here. Now this was updated to PHP 8, but again there has been some compatibility issues. There has been some compatibility issues with the main system with for PHP 7, right? So in that case, again, we have if we have opted for, again, it won't last, it won't be permanent. But again, if we are there, then that will be also part of the entire architecture here. Right, so suppose I say we want to upgrade this. Suppose I say first after a while here we have done what? We have simply upgraded the entire architecture into PHP 7, right? And now suppose after a while, now suppose there has been compatibility issues with PHP 7. So now if we want, we can also automate the task of rolling back as well. Suppose if in case of installation failures, this cannot be executed, right? So that's exactly what we can define under the requirement and how it is done as a part of infrastructure followed by the group here. So are we all clear on this part as well on rollback? Please give me a quick information, guys. Sure, Ravi. I'll just make sure that this is easy and understandable for you as well. Ravi, okay, so this was a feedback from Ravi Kumar and Ravi Shankar. So if we can do scaling up and down using Ansible, then why do we need Kubernetes and other solutions, sir? So Ravi Shankar from YouTube, basically we need Kubernetes in order to handle and manage multiple containers being deployed. That's exactly what we use Kubernetes for, right? And as a part of configuration management, we can either use Chef, we have tools like we have Chef, Puppet, right? These are basically based on like system here. And again, if you also have tools like we have Ansible, so right. So these are multiple tools available which we can use exactly as per our requirement, right? Just like we for the version control system, we have Git, we have SVN, we have Jira, right? Same way for the continuous building stage, we have Mavens, we have Gradle, we have Apache Ant, right? So since in each and every service there are multiple tools. Now it depends upon us which tool we want to use as per our own requirement. Then we get started. All right. So is it clear now, Alvi Kumar? Please, Ravi Shankar, please give me a quick confirmation. All right, so thank you for the confirmation, guys. So now let's erase this up and now let's proceed further. Sure, thank you for the pointer here, Ravi. Everybody, let's erase this up. So basically, when we want to roll back now, whenever we have deployed the update, or we obviously want to roll back to the previous update as well. Because again, suppose once we have rolled out the update, now that update may have crashed the other versions. That update may not be compatible with all the other softwares that is already present there, or there may be multiple issues with that particular build that has been updated, right? Now, in case that happens, again, obviously we need a platform so that we can roll back. We can roll back to the previous state. For example, currently we have the PHP version 5.7 up and running, correct? And now suppose after we have updated that to PHP 7, now we can observe some kind of issues with our website, with issues with our web application, right? And if we do not wish to have that kind of problem with our entire server, then we can simply roll back, so that as per the configuration which was up and running, which was completely functional, right? That's exactly what we can do using Ansible as well. And that's why it makes the entire concept, entire process of rolling back as easier as possible. All right. Now, next is we have configuration management tools available. Now, in terms of configuration management tool, here we can discuss on multiple. Now, here we have multiple tools, like we have Terraform, we have Ansible, we have Puppet, we have SaltStack, we have Chef, right? So basically, we have multiple tools that is basically used for the concept of configuration management. Where we have discussed the concept of Chef as well, right? So basically, Ansible is a configuration management, deployment, and orchestration tool. So unlike Chef, which is totally a simple configuration management tool here, but in Ansible, here we have multiple capabilities, not just focused on configuration management, but deployment and orchestration as well. Right, that's why here it is focused mainly on multiple profiles. So if we have multiple profiles here, again, we can simply configure them automatically. We can automate them. We can simply help them in deployment purposes, like we have for Docker. And again, here we have the orchestration tool also available here, right? And Ansible is a push-based configuration management tool here, right? So we had discussed this part earlier. So basically, we have two types of configuration possible here. We have push-based, and then we have pull-based. So in push-based, now in push-based, what happens now? The same. Suppose if we want to deploy changes on multiple servers, then we can push them to what exactly the changes is, and then they all have to configure the entire system or nodes, whatever they have, accordingly, right? That's a part of the push-based. Whereas pull-based is, suppose if we have a master, like we have a master, and those here we also have the same concept of master and slave nodes. And same way, okay, yes, for sure, we can do that. We can simply use the push, right? And that's why Ansible is also part of push configuration. Is it clear now? All right, and same way for pull, what we have is, suppose if we have multiple nodes being connected here, suppose here we have 3 nodes that are connected to each other. Suppose here we have node 1, node 2, node 3. Now, first of all, as a part of pull-based configuration, now the system, the master here will simply pull the configuration from its entire slave nodes, right? So whatever the configuration is, so again, this data can be pulled from node to the server, and based on the configuration being set here, right? So depending upon the configuration that's already done, then only we can decide to cooperate, or we can say to fill out on basis of that particular requirements. All right, that's the main concept of push and pull. So once the requirement has been met here, then again it will simply push the same into these different containers, exactly as on what exactly can be done for these systems. So are we all clear on this concept, everyone? Please give me a quick information, guys. Are we all clear on this entire concept? And I hope Ravi and Abedi, your feedbacks were incorporated as well at a much suitable pace. Please give me a quick information. Hi, Shiv, Domina Distance. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, Durgesh, Ravi, Abedi. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. So now let's erase this up. And that's how these are the features available in Ansible. First of all, it is a simple application here. First of all, it is really simple, right? Again, obviously, it is powerful because again, it has capabilities to model complex ID workflows, right? So when we are focusing with complex ID workflows, then we can simply use it to make sure that we have a better system out there. Again, it is completely agentless. And that's why there is no need of agent or client software to manage the entire nodes here. Okay, what do you mean by agent here? So agent simply mentions, refers here to nodes, right? For example, when we are working with multiple master and slave nodes, right? So now there is no agent required. The same way we had discussed on Chef as well. So Chef requires the master and agent, but here in Ansible, we no longer require the master and slave, or we require multiple agents for this one to work together. We don't need that. Okay, Ravi, so can you please repeat the pull-based configuration? Sure, Ravi. So pull-based is, suppose if we have one system connected here, if we have one single system connected as a master, and again, master is connected to multiple sources as in multiple nodes here, right? And suppose now master what in this setup, what happens is node server will send configuration back to the server here. Okay, what has been done so far? Again, the main master branch will come back, and then we can simply tell them what exactly has to be done, and at which level. So first of all, that's a cycle followed in pull. First of all, the master will ask the slave itself. The master will ask slave itself, what is the current configuration? What is the current configuration available or that has been done on the slave itself? And then based on the report received by master, then master will again set another command here to set the configuration of the other server exactly as per a requirement. That's what it happens in AWS. So let's erase this up. All right, so thank you for confirming. Let's series this up. Okay, so okay, I'm curious from Ravi. So, what is the basic difference between the Terraform and Ansible stuff? Sure, Ravi. So, Terraform is simply infrastructure as a code system, whereas Ansible is itself is a complete system for management of different nodes here of the deployment and making sure the entire application is we can say complies with all the regulations here, depending upon the architecture, and making sure the entire configuration is met. And that's why it is, we can say, that's why using Ansible, we can perform multiple things at once. We can do that. Is it clear? Ravi, please give me a quick information. Perfect. Thank you for confirming. I think we have two Ravi said, Ravi Shankar and Ravi Kumar both. Perfect. So now let's resume further. So first of all, let's discuss on the case study of NASA, how Ansible helped NASA here. So NASA needed to move 65 applications from the traditional hardware-based data center to the cloud center environment. That was the requirement of NASA, right? Now, NASA wanted to achieve better agility, so save cost and more security, because that is a requirement of almost every application out there, right? Every application out there, they need to be more agile, they need to save costs, and they need to provide a better security for as well, right? And that was the same requirement from NASA as well when they had planned to move 65 applications from on-premise to on-cloud, right? Now, applications were migrated as is to cloud environment. As a result, the environment spanning multiple VPCs and AWS accounts was created, which could not be easily managed, because again, if we migrate them as it is, again, they may be deployed into multiple VPCs, right? They may be deployed into multiple AWS accounts. Again, managing multiple accounts, managing multiple AWS, multiple VPCs was not that easily done, right? And that's why by managing access rights, again, security patching and other simple tasks could become tedious, right? And when NASA moved into the cloud here, again, they wanted to move the entire team members as well to the cloud platform, right? And what exactly NASA needed? NASA needed a well-defined structure of the content plus the categories they are working in, right? So suppose if we have multiple inventories, now inventories could have been divided to groups and hosts, teams could have been divided to credentials, permissions, and users. And in the user, we may have, again, credentials and permission for those specific users, right? And in project, we can have playbooks, we can have job templates. Playbooks are simply like templates that we had discussed, right? So here we can create multiple playbooks through which we can start configuration, like configuring the entire server, right? So playbook generally looks like this one. So we'll be coming back on this one as well. So this is a simple example for playbook that we will revisit once we move into the module here, right? To understand what exactly it is and how these are structured one by one. All right. Next is now in terms of credential management. Again, here it provides credential management. Here it provides users. Here it provides job assignments and the inventory management as well. All in one tool, all in one solution being offered to NASA in terms of Ansible. All right. Now we do also get an Ansible Tower dashboard as well. We do get Ansible Tower dashboard where we can simply, now just like we had seen earlier, we had seen the complete dashboard from Kubernetes, right? So having a GUI dashboard is much appreciated, especially by the non-developers team. Suppose someone coming from the non-IT background, non-IT as in non-developers background, or then they really appreciate having a dashboard through which they can visualize the status for the entire system up and running. And then if they want to make some changes, they can also do that easily using the Ansible Red Hat Tower, right? So let me share this link with everyone as well, so we can go ahead and explore this. Let me share the link as well. Which you can go ahead and explore how exactly we can get the access to this Ansible Tower here. Right, so again, if you want to get the access of this Red Hat Ansible Tower, we can simply refer to this link here. Let me share this link with everyone. Here you go. Okay, I have a query from Shiv. So what type of companies use Puppet? So Shiv, basically Ansible is good for small applications, right? When we are focusing on, suppose when we are focusing on some temporary applications, which are basically used for the testing purposes, for bug fixes, for testing purposes, then we can use Ansible for that purpose, right? But if we want to deploy larger applications, right? Larger applications, and suppose if we are deploying any enterprise solutions or big scale applications, then we can use Puppet in those scenarios. Right? Because again, when we are focusing on long-term deployments, again, we don't change the machines often, right? We don't change the configurations often here. Again, if you want to maintain the same set of machines, right? But again, if you want to scale it up or you want to change the configuration, then we can do that easily using Puppet, right? But again, if we have a quick revision going on and on, suppose let's say we are continuously changing the composition, we are continuously changing the configuration of multiple servers, then we can go ahead with Ansible. All right. So is it clear for you, Shiv Prasad? Please give me a quick confirmation. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. So now here I have shared the link here, guys, with you all. And now suppose if you want to download the Ansible Tower for Linux system, again we can define this. Again, if you want to know how we can launch it for Amazon EC2, here we have the multiple Amazon machine images that we can simply use here, right? For example, suppose if we want to launch this for any particular region, because here we know we have multiple regions in place here, right? Again, if you want to launch this with a particular image type, here we can simply go ahead and suppose if we want to launch this image here, we can simply define the security group to HTTP, because any dashboard needs to be accessed by the browser, and for that purpose we need to have the HTTP configured, right? So here we can click on review and launch. So what we are doing here, if we want to have the access to the Red Hat Ansible dashboard, then we can simply use this link that we have currently seen, correct? And based on our own setup here, we can choose how exactly we want to use it. We want to download it for our Linux system, or we want to download the Tower for background, or we want to access it in the Amazon EC2, being the system here. Now, because in EC2, we know we can use multiple inbuilt images that we can use to get started on Ansible Tower. And if you want, now here we simply have to choose in which region we have to deploy it, and then we can get started on top of it automatically. All right. So now for accessing this part here, guys, we can simply use this thing here called ansible.com/products/tower and then /trial as a part of the entire hands-on here. All right, so now let's get right back. So basically, this is used for getting the summary of all the jobs that has been deployed here, how many hosts we have available as a part of our host count, how many hosts, but like what exactly the host status is, if it is up, running, or it has been stopped or terminated. We can simply see the entire report as a part of entire Ansible Tower dashboard. All right. And as a result, what happened? The NASA government now, if we want now, and that's then as a result, what happened? Updating the entire website for NASA or government went from 1 hour to 5 minutes because of this deployment here. The security patching updates went from multi-day process to 45 minutes because of this configuration management tool offered. Provisioning operating system accounts across entire environment was done within 10 minutes. Application stacks setup time reduced from 1 to 2 hours to 10 minutes. And again, it achieved a near real-time RAM and disk monitoring service that was again given to NASA by Ansible as a part of the entire monitoring dashboard, as a part of entire monitoring dashboard available, right? And the baseline standards for the AMIs went from 1 hour manual process to becoming seamless, invisible background process by using the Ansible, right? And that's why Ansible improvised the entire efficiency for NASA, right? Now let's go ahead and look at the Ansible architecture here. So basically, Ansible automation engine is being deployed here. So now here we have Ansible automation engine, which consists of multiple modules, APIs, and plugins, right? And these are all connected to the inventories as a part of Playbook, right? So in Playbook, we can define, just like we had seen earlier, we had defined the configuration management files here, right? So in Playbook, we can define what kind of configuration we can do. And YAML as in YAML, yet another markup language. That is what we write these files as, right? Here we have YAML, yet another markup language as a YAML files, right? So if we are working especially with the cloud platforms, and YAML and JSON are the most popular system that we have to be comfortable with, right? So now if we are writing any playbook here, what we can do, we can simply start by running our 3 hyphens here. Now, first of all, here we define the multiple hosts. Like, okay, we are defining the host for this entire playbook is applicable for which particular host here. Then we can define. So here it is available for both, right? And then under variables here, we can define what is the pass for the account that we are trying to create, right? And then then each and every task here that we need to perform as a part of configuration management, right? Because here we have to define each and every task that we need to perform as a part of configuration management. Now, when we say each and every task, for example, if we are trying to define the entire task, the entire list of all the tasks that we have to perform, what we have to do In a given set, what we have to do is we simply have to define, okay, first of all, what should be done? Suppose here we have step 1, right? So what should be done? Again, we have to define step 1. Again, what kind of configuration has to be done after the first one? Then we have to define the step 2, right? Then step 3, then step 4, then step 5, and so on, right? So these are all sequential steps or sequential tasks that we have to perform, that we have to describe in the format of a YAML file. And this entire setup here, that will be used by Ansible. This is all referred as a playbook. This is all referred as a playbook here, right? So Ansible will simply refer to this playbook in order to execute the system, or in order to start executing the entire statement as a part of our configuration management tool out here, as a part of the most popular configuration management tool, right? So as you can see here, first of all, here we define the multiple tasks one by one. For example, task, here we define, first of all, install NTP, right? And then we have defined, okay, in app, again, what should be the pack? What is a package that needs to be installed? NTP, right? What should be the state? Present, then it should, and then what kind of notification needs to be done here? Run update, right? Then we define, okay, what we have to install next. Then we have to install VIM, right? What is the package that we need to install VIM? We need VIM. Just like we had Docker, we use a command, right? We use a command in our system here. Like suppose if we want to install any new server, this is what we have seen already. Suppose if we want to go ahead and install any new server, we have to run the command here. For example, if you open up any instance here, suppose here we want to run the update here. What we have to do, we simply have to use a command as apt get an update. Okay, let me. So here we have to use the command as apt get update. Okay, I think the connection has been terminated. That's why we are unable to type anything in. So whatever we do, suppose, let's say when we are using the Ubuntu system, right? When we are using the Ubuntu system, we have to use the command as apt get. Suppose we are trying to install any particular package. Suppose we are trying to install Apache. Then we have to use the command as install, and then we have to define the package name. I suppose as Apache 2 or any other package that we are trying to install on top of Ubuntu image here, right? So these all things has to be defined, and for defining those things, we use the playbook here, as we can see here, right? Same way here we define for VIM. Again, we can define the VIM package, and then if we want to see it, then we can simply start the NTP service, right? And the services, again, we have to make sure that the services here are up and running. Now, which service here, whether it is started, again, then we have to make sure that if we want to enable it, again, or disable it, we can simply set it to true or false, exactly as per our requirement. We can set it to true, or we can set it to false, whatever the requirement is. All right. All right, I think there was a query from Abadi, and I think this has been already answered by Talent Scout. Thank you for that, Talent Scout. So I hope that is clear for you, Abadi. What exactly are the virtual machines? As in a host, or we can say hardware, virtual machines itself. And this exactly is the entire setup here that we can use for. And that exactly is what the entire playbook is all structured of, right? So let me share this entire playbook with you all. So we can use this entire code in order to get started. Just let me share this with everyone who have joined via the webinars. Here you go. So I've shared the entire playbook code here, guys, so which we can go ahead and use it on our own, just to get a complete clarity on top of it. And we'll leave this part under the link as well, so that everyone joining via YouTube, they can also get their hands on this entire playbook that has been created, so that we can use it as a reference for our own application. All right, we can use it as our own reference. All right. So first of all, are we all clear on the concept of playbook? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. Are we all clear on the concept of playbook here? Shiv, Dipya, Gaurav, Helmi, Jaideep, Sai, Thomas Levin, Subhash. Shafi, Hepadi, Vishbir. Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, guys. And that exactly is what we mean by playbook here. And this is the architecture that we have seen for Ansible. In Puppet, we do have manifest. Is it clear now, Shiv? Okay, in Puppet we do have manifest. We do have manifest, manifest. So in Puppet we have manifest, and same way in Ansible we have playbook. But the use of both are the same. All right. Is it clear now, Shiv? Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, guys. All right, so now let's resume further. Now this is what we have seen here. Now playbooks are simply written in YAML code that we have seen already. Now here it is basically used for declaring the configuration and orchestrate manual ordered processes. And this can be launched, now this can be used to launch tasks synchronously or asynchronously. Now basically synchronous is it happens right away without any latency here, and asynchronous is when it happens after a period of time, right? So it can be executed both synchronous in a synchronous manner or in asynchronous manners as well, in both ways. All right. And this is what we have seen already. Now here, suppose let's say here we have host. Now here we define this for web servers. Then we can define the task. The task name is install Apache 2, right? And then here we can define the app name, suppose as Apache 2 update, cache, yes, state should be latest. And this should be notified. Again, this should be defined as restart Apache 2. And what should be the handlers here? Again, and then we can define the service name as well. That means name should be Apache2 and state should be restarted. So whatever we need to configure, whatever operations we need to execute, that can be mentioned as a part of Ansible Playbook. And Ansible is basically useful for deployment, of applications, for deployment of for the purpose of orchestration as well. Ansible is highly useful as a configuration management tool. It's basically used for provisioning and for the purpose of security and compliance as well, as a part of entire use cases for Ansible. And when we are focusing on the orchestration for Ansible, here we can use it to install the LAMP stack servers, deploy HTML and PHP files on web servers, and how we can gather and store data from website into MySQL database servers, right? Again, this can be done. Then it can deploy the entire servers into the host machines, and the servers can also be managed as a part of orchestration tool service offered by Ansible here. And basically, in terms of provisioning, we can simply provision the multiple Python web applications hosted on Azure for the coding, for testing, and for the deployment purposes. And again, as a configuration management tool here, we can simply make sure that, suppose say we want to focus on LAMP stack, right? So again, if the Apache2 needs to be updated, again, we can use Ansible for simply updating all the services or all the be for Apache2. Again, if we, same example that we discussed in the beginning itself, if we want to update MySQL, again, we can do that easily using the LAMP stack, here, right? And same way, when we want to deploy any applications, again, we can work with Jenkins to make sure these are all configured and all done properly on top of deployment, on top of the testing, and as well as on the production server without facing any kind of issues. All right. So are we all clear on the entire concept for Ansible here, guys? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, Shiv. And how about others? Please give me a quick confirmation, guys. Is this part clear for everyone? Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation, everyone. So that's how we have this. So that's how we have what we have structured as a part of the entire Ansible mode here, Ansible tutorial, right? So just a moment. Here we can set it up to our connection. Under data, here we can simply log into our Ubuntu system, and SSH, here we can use the auth to log into our console that we are trying to connect on top of using it with Ansible. Now, in order to start installing Ansible, let's see a short hands-on on how we can get started on installation of the Ansible as well. And before that, let me share the entire link, the entire course link for everyone here to refer here, guys. Just a moment. Now, as a part of our entire hands-on here, first of all, let's see how we can get started on installation of the Ansible here, right? So now let's do one thing. First of all, once we have the connection set up to our remote instance here, we can first of all here we have to upload a key file, because again here we have to install that part into the system, correct? Now we have already installed. Now first of all we need to now here first of all what we need to do is we need to update the Ansible packages here, right? And so that we can add the Ansible repository to our own system. And for doing that, let's do one thing. And again, here we can simply add the entire repository here by using this command here as sudo apt add repository, and then we can simply add the repository back into our Ansible here, right? So here we have to simply enter it, and now this will start first of all adding the repository back into our Ansible account here one by one. Now this may take a couple of seconds to be completed. And now once this entire setup is done here, then we can simply use the command as sudo apt get update to update all the existing services out here. We can simply use this command to apt get update to make sure that all the services are updated before we simply start installing it, right? Once we are done with this part here, we can simply install this via the package here, right? So here we have again the simply Ansible package already available to us. So here we can use sudo apt get install Ansible, and the entire package, once it has been, now again, each and every packages here will be extracted, and then only it will start updating it one by one. And again, once we are done with this part here, if you want to go ahead and check if this is correctly installed or not, then we can simply use the Ansible and then find the version to just check if this is correctly installed or not. So let this entire process be completed. So in the meantime, this is completed, guys. Let me share the link for our entire full-fledged certification training here. Let me share this entire link. So here we have an entire certification training offered by Edureka itself. Let me share the link here, where we'll be going in deep on whatever module we have been covering so far, be it on continuous integration, continuous development, deployment, continuous building, continuous integration. We'll be going on each and every module here in detail as a part of entire full-fledged certification training, where we have accompanied hands-on with each and every module to make sure that each and every topic here is completely clear for everyone, right? So let me share this link, guys. Here you go. So if we come back here now, if you want to just check if we have the current installation of Ansible done or not, so here we can use Ansible version to just simply check if the Ansible has been correctly installed. Here we can simply use Ansible 2.0. Here we can see the correct version of Ansible version here as 2.8.6. All right. So are we all clear on how to install the Ansible here, guys? Please give me a quick confirmation, everyone. First of all, here we have to define the Ansible package, Ansible directory itself, and then we can get started on installing it one by one using the entire package, right? So first of all, here we have to simply add the Ansible repository, and then we can simply update the services, and then we can simply use the apt-get apt can install Ansible in order to install the Apache package. First of all, updating all the services and then installing the Ansible package here. All right. All right, guys. So I guess it's almost time now, guys. So in case you have any questions, any doubts on whatever we had discussed on Ansible, please feel free to drop in your questions so that I can answer all your queries one by one. So in case you have any questions, guys, or any queries coming up, please feel free to drop in your queries so that I can answer it before we wrap up today's session. Ravi Shankar, Ravi Kumar, Talent Scout, Ramesh, Shiv. All right, so do join our meetup group as well, guys, in order to stay updated. So as you can see, we have more than 12,000 members who are already a part of this wonderful meetup community, where we can all be notified and where we can all stay updated on what is happening in different technologies by joining multiple webinars that we conduct on each and every month, right? All right, guys. So I guess it's almost time now. So let's say we wrap up for today's session here, and then Let's connect at the same time tomorrow to continue our journey on DevOps. And please feel free, and again, as a small token of appreciation, please do rate us excellent in the feedback form. Once we end the webinar here, you all will be getting a small NPS feedback form being opened up in your browser. So please do rate us excellent in the feedback form, a small token of appreciation for the hard work and time that we have put in. And for those who have joined via YouTube, so kindly show your love, guys, and just hit the like button there. And let's hope to see you all soon in our tomorrow's session as a part of our journey, or as a part of a continuation of our journey that we have started on DevOps. All right. Have a great day ahead, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.